Welcome to Rediscover the Verde Valley. I'm Christian Oliva Del Rio with the Cottonwood Chamber of Commerce. And with me today is an old friend, Angie Lozano, and she's the Executive Director for Angie's House. Welcome, Angie.
Thank you. Nice to be back.
Always love talking to you. There's a lot of issues going on in our community, and you are pretty much at the forefront of dealing with a lot of this. One of the hot topics that we've been dealing with a lot recently, although it's been a problem for multiple years, is housing.
Yes.
And I'm just going to say housing because we were talking about this, that you know, there's different levels, if you will. There's low income, affordable, workforce, and everybody's definition of that is different.
Correct.
It
is.
And what we're really discovering is that it's housing in general. It's every aspect of it that we're having a problem with.
Yeah,
right?
And in dire need of more.
In dire
housing.
need of more,
yeah,
for
there
sure.
could never be enough housing here.
That's right.
In our beautiful city of Cottonwood.
Yeah. And the entire Verde Valley is really facing this challenge.
Yes,
so
it is.
Let's start off by telling us a little bit more about Angie's House. What started it? How'd you get going?
Yeah, started back in 2000. Initially, I invested in quite a few rental properties, so that would be my retirement income. 2000, I lost my CFO job because I did accounting and I loved doing that. So I was able to, quote unquote, forced to retire.
Yeah.
Didn't want to move to a larger city, and my family lives here. So I started to work with my rental properties, realizing that there was a need. I had renters who could afford the utilities, but sometimes not the rent.
Right.
So I started to create a combination packages where everything was included. So lo and behold, one rental was turned into more of a package deal, made it easier for people. And then eventually another rental was turned into communal housing for people with drug and alcohol addictions. And we're all pet friendly.
Right.
All my facilities are all alcohol and drug free.
Right.
Now what has happened is, I'd say in the last 3 years, a lot of my senior citizens who are on very fixed incomes are in need of housing.
Right.
They have a pet. The fixed income of retirement or Social Security is never going to increase.
Yeah.
And yet the price of housing has increased.
Everything is going up.
Everything has increased. Yeah. So I have 12 different locations right now.
Right.
It's communal housing.
Yes.
Which means they live together to make it affordable for them and affordable for us to be able to, you know, make mortgage payments, utility payments, etc. But there's still not enough.
Right.
Enough housing.
Right.
I get calls daily on people who live here. In fact, I'll give you an example. I had Carol, who 70 years old, has a little dog named Sammy, has lived in a rental for 15 years. It was a nice little one bedroom.
Yeah.
She paid her rent timely. It's a great market for selling. It's a seller's market.
It is.
So her landlords decided to sell. She thought, no big deal. I have a great rental history. I'll find something in no time. Spent a couple of months in a hotel, blew through some savings, ended up in her car because she was literally down to nothing.
Wow. For
2 months, lived in her vehicle.
Yeah.
And then called me and said, oh my God, if I would have known. So that's why one of the reasons why I'm here is to more information. To get the fact that we have this facilities open and available.
Sure.
Because she'd lived here all her life, but never really had the need, so hadn't heard about Angie's House, hadn't really reached out, because when you're in your 70s, you do it on your own. You're just like, I'll figure it out, I'll fix it, and you don't really reach out until it's to the point of
almost too late or too late. Right? Yeah.
Homeless in a car with her little dog.
Right.
Yeah. So
well, so 2020 was a very rough year for everybody.
It was.
So how did COVID affect you guys? And you know, tell us what you had to go through. So I'm sure it did.
Yeah, my homeless shelter, which I used to pride myself on being able to get a homeless person in off the street in less than an hour, basically. Unfortunately, we have to temporarily close it. So it's been closed for the last 8 months.
Yeah.
One was funding. Second was the fact that the individuals coming through, some of them would have underlying health issues that's currently stayed there, so the risk factor was a little high. Yeah. So we decided to go ahead and close it. Right. But like I said, I used to be able to get a call and have someone in and out of the cold any day of the time, day or night, and now that had to change. Right. So we still have people come in, but now it's different now when my regular housing COVID test is required. Now for the most part, the local ERs or urgent care will get a test within 24 hours. Within 24 hours. But outside of that, then they can get in pretty quick. But yeah, it was a real big change because, like I said, I used to pride myself on getting individuals in immediately.
Yeah.
Not having to wait the day, or now, like I said, they're instant tests, and for the most part, you can still get them in the same day.
Right.
Sometimes they do have to wait a day or two. You know, so that's
How are you health-wise? You doing all right?
Yeah.
You hanging in there?
Yeah, I'm hanging in.
Your family's doing good?
Family's doing great. I've been very, very lucky.
Good. Because, I mean, you always step up and you're helping our community, and I love that about you. You've been in the Verde Valley. Your family's been in the Verde Valley for a very long time. So,
well, it's my community, you know, and it's neighbors, and it's neighbors helping neighbors, and so that's why it's so important. But yeah, luckily, health-wise, it's been good.
Good.
Everyone in my homes have been good.
Right.
We do take precautions. I mean, there's, you know, masks, there's sanitizer.
Sure.
And everyone who was able to get qualified for a vaccine that wanted to were able to get it.
Excellent.
So there's just a lot of things that we did to be
So you're helping above and beyond actually just the housing people. You know, a head and a bed is important, but also keeping them healthy and following those guidelines is very important too.
Exactly.
So I'm happy to hear that people are stepping up. And to let you know, if you ever run short on hand sanitizer or masks, I still have some in our office.
Okay. And actually, I did pick up a box from
very good.
Boxes,
so come see me anytime.
That was a nice offer, so thank you.
Absolutely, if there's anything we can do there to help. So, you know, what else have been some of the struggles in responding in a timely manner or quickly? You know, I mean, you say definitely the testing. Or
I think we have current people in need of housing who've never been in need of housing.
Right.
Who don't normally know the different places to go to and ask.
Yeah.
And so they're not talking to someone who has been dealing with housing issues.
Right.
This is the first time. They feel embarrassed. They don't want to ask. They don't want to reach out for help. So that's what I've seen a lot of.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people in need who don't know where to reach out to and don't want, are too embarrassed to ask for help.
Yeah, I think that's it. You're like you said. Actually, I had one of my questions on here is a new or different clientele, and it really is, right? You're dealing with a lot of people that just have never been in this position before.
You know, and so like I was saying, you know, a lot of my seniors who are on fixed incomes, you know, Social Security, which does not increase.
Right.
But then the working people, they're looking at themselves saying, I have a job.
Yeah.
I work 40 hours plus a week.
What's going on, right?
Why can't I? What's going on? I'm not. I don't have a place to live right now. This is not. This is not right. I'm doing everything right. I've gotten phone calls saying, Angie, I've done everything right.
Yeah.
I paid my rent. I was never late, but I still got my notice to move. And then I'll ask, because you know I do like to know the information.
Sure.
They're selling. But I understand that part because, like I said, the real estate market is really good right now.
Absolutely. So I tell you what, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk a lot more about this important issue. So come right on back.
This is Bruce Morrow, Transportation Manager for Cottonwood Area Transit. Remember, we cover the entire Verde Valley and Sedona. Cottonwood Area Transit has you covered wherever you want to ride in the Verde Valley, all day, every day. Take Cottonwood Area Transit through Clarkdale, Verde Village, and from 26 locations in Cottonwood. With Verde Links, it's a quick and easy trip to Sedona every day. Don't forget our connectors to Camp Verde. Visit cottonwoodaz.gov for Cottonwood Area Transit and take a seat. Let's go ride.
There are people who struggle with addiction and homelessness. Sometimes it may feel like there is nothing we can do to help.
But there is. You can make a tax-deductible donation and help those in need transition away from homelessness. When you give someone a handout, you could actually be supporting an addiction.
A better life starts with better health, especially for those living in the streets.
Support solutions, not addictions. You can make a difference. Visit cottonwoodcares.org.
Welcome back to Rediscover the Verde Valley. Again, I'm Christian Oliva Del Rio, and with me is Angie Lozano. And Angie, you amaze me. I wish everybody could hear our conversations during the breaks because it just goes on and on. It's a topic that we can definitely talk about. So what we were discussing before this last break was the clientele, the demographic of people that you're seeing, and it's a very new group of people, right?
It is a new group of people.
Yeah.
Like I said, the seniors are always heartbreaking because fixed incomes. They were living in a rental for the last 15 years, paying rent timely, and now the rental property is being sold.
Right.
Their income isn't higher, but their rental prices locally are a lot higher, and they can't afford.
Right.
The other ones are the workforce.
Right.
Yeah. So they're working 40+ hours per week. They're doing everything right, paying their utilities, but the rental prices have gone so much higher that they've been priced out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So they're not, or have never been in a position to not have a place to live or stay, because they work hard, they pay their bills, and so now they're going, oh my God,
what are we going to do?
What did I do wrong? I didn't do anything wrong.
And they didn't do anything wrong.
They didn't.
Yeah.
And I get phone calls all the time where they'll say, Angie, I did everything right. I paid my bills. I paid everything timely.
Yeah.
I was never late. I didn't have any problems with the landlord. I always kept the place clean.
Right.
And it's not that. It's just that they're being priced out of the rental market, and they don't know or know where to reach for help.
Right.
So with us, we don't just provide alcohol and drug, housing for people who are dealing with alcohol and drug addictions.
Sure.
It's everyone, and I don't think very many people
understand that, right? Yeah. So that's what we were just saying, was that it's important. You might think Angie's house and might think, oh, well, I don't necessarily qualify because I don't fit that box, right? But that's not necessarily the truth.
No.
The reality is that you have multiple size boxes and can help people.
Yes.
And if you can't, you absolutely partner with other entities that could, right?
So we are still, all of my locations are alcohol and drug free. That's just one thing that we do, keep at all of them.
Yes.
But it's basically affordable housing.
Right.
Affordable communal housing.
For anyone that needs it.
Yeah. And I will always explain to someone, it's like, for instance, I had a phone call from a gentleman that worked in one of the resorts in Sedona. He's been there a long time. Again, never been in this position. Explained to him that at the moment I had a men's home that was open.
Right.
And he could easily get in. He could get in that Friday because he was actually going to have to be out of where he was at by Friday.
Yeah.
And I tell him, try it.
Yeah.
I said a lot of times, yes, it's not the most ideal situation. Everyone does want to have their own place.
Right.
I said,
but it's a roof over your head.
Exactly.
And
And give it a try.
Right.
I said the other gentlemen that are living there are going through the same exact thing. And sure enough, I'd say 98% of the time, they'll move in and go, oh, thank God I didn't have to blow all my money at the hotel.
Right.
Not to say hotels aren't
No, but it's for a different clientele, right? And for a different reason. I mean, absolutely understand if you're down and out and you don't know where to turn. Obviously, it's a resource for you. But you're right. That is a challenge, is that a lot of people will blow through their savings or their money that will help them.
Because the thought is, I'll move to a hotel for a week, I'll find something in no time, and I'll be out of here. And it's not. It turns in from 1 week to a month to 3 months, and then you're completely,
Well, and I think it's important for us to really stress that, people don't be embarrassed about the situation.
No.
And if you need help, please reach out. There are resources that we can.
Yeah, and I have developed, because I'm lucky enough, I have enough locations that I have different setups, different pricing.
Right.
There's a lot of things that can be really worked around.
Right.
And so it's pretty much.
It's just a conversation, and be able to be open and reach out.
Yeah.
I mean, if you give your number real quick, and we'll make sure we put it on the screen.
301-2169. It can reach 24 hours a day. It's always a phone call. If I don't pick up, you can always text me if you're able to text. But yeah, I will always reach out.
Or reach out to the Cottonwood Chamber as well, and we can always get a hold of Angie or somebody else as well. And we are 928-634-7593, and our website is cottonwoodchamberaz.org. You can get help in multiple ways. We as a community, the Verde Valley, have been trying to come together and deal with this housing issue. We absolutely understand that there is a need, and again, it's a broad spectrum. It's not just low income housing, it's not just affordable housing, it's not just workforce housing. And again, all of those definitions may mean something different to each of us, right?
Right.
And that's the challenge. We have to realize that it's all just housing. So we have been coming together and meeting with a lot of the municipalities. Sedona faces a whole different set of challenges in that they may have the money to deal with housing issues, but they don't have the land to deal with it. They're landlocked. And Cottonwood may have a little bit of money, but has a little bit more space and land. Camp Verde as well. So the thought and the concept is for all of us to come together and form some sort of a regional housing committee, or I don't. Again, when we're talking definitions and words, when you call it a housing authority, people don't like the word authority. So we're trying to figure out what that is. And in fact, Mayor Linsky with Cottonwood and Mr. Corbin, the city manager, hosted a meeting Monday, and I'm thinking that's definitely a meeting that you're going to want to begin attending.
I'd love to be part of that.
Dealing with
even just
this.
to hear the different, because like you said, there's so many different terminology of housing.
Right.
And it's a wide spectrum.
Yeah.
And we're growing by leaps and bounds, because it's a beautiful place to live.
Yeah.
But we really do. Housing's important. You have to meet that critical human need.
It is.
Because without that, nothing else can
You're right. It is all tied in together, and you're right. That's kind of the basis of it. If you don't have a roof over your head and that security, that place to call home. You know, I've talked to business owners that are actually losing employees because there is no inventory here
for housing. Yeah.
You know, I've been getting, I could say since January of this year, we've probably been averaging almost 30 requests a week for relocation information. So what's going on? We're getting people that are wanting to move to this area, but we just don't have any place to put them. Yeah.
And that's the disappointing part, because don't know what the answer is.
Right.
I know that we do need to address it. And I do even think housing affects mental health.
Yes.
I've had residents move in that have said, I've gotten more done in a month, Angie, because I had a roof over my head, a safe place to be. And it's true. Because
it's that sense of security, right?
You have to have a home base where you feel safe in order to be able to even continue to develop your life and do future things.
So Angie, let's tell a little bit more about getting some information. Angie'sHouseAZ.com is a website you can definitely check out. 928-301-2169 is Angie's number. And again, if you don't get hold of her directly, leave a name and number, and she will definitely get back to you. The Cottonwood Chamber is also a good resource for you to reach out, and we will be happy to help you try to find those resources you need. So we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back to our final segment here and talk a little bit more about Angie's House and how we can help people.
Perfect.
All right? Thank you. We'll see you in a minute.
This is Bruce Morrow, Transportation Manager for Cottonwood Area Transit. Remember, we cover the entire Verde Valley and Sedona. Cottonwood Area Transit has you covered wherever you want to ride in the Verde Valley, all day, every day. Take Cottonwood Area Transit through Clarkdale, Verde Village, and from 26 locations in Cottonwood. With Verde Links, it's a quick and easy trip to Sedona every day. Don't forget our connectors to Camp Verde. Visit cottonwoodaz.gov for Cottonwood Area Transit and take a seat. Let's go ride.
There are people who struggle with addiction and homelessness. Sometimes it may feel like there is nothing we can do to help.
But there is. You can make a tax-deductible donation and help those in need transition away from homelessness. When you give someone a handout, you could actually be supporting an addiction.
A better life starts with better health, especially for those living in the streets.
Support solutions, not addictions. You can make a difference. Visit cottonwoodcares.org.
They're just trying to make it. So.
Welcome back to Rediscover the Verde Valley. Again, you guys just popped in with Angie and I talking between the break. But Angie from Angie's House is here with me, and we're discussing some issues facing our communities. Housing is a huge necessity. It affects all aspects of life, your mental well-being, your security, and people are struggling in our area. So thank you, Angie's House, for stepping up and being one of those resources. But again, it's not enough.
No,
you need help as well, right?
Yeah, right. And there's always a need for more housing.
Yeah.
Always. There will never be enough housing.
Right. And so, but although we were talking about housing and how important it is, but you also need other things to run the houses, right?
Yeah,
And
because
so,
of the year, it was a unique year, to say the least. Donations were way down, which I totally understand that, and it was an unprecedented time.
Right.
I mean, it was very, very I guess it was a different time. So yeah, so we're always in need of donations. It really does help fund people to get into housing, which is vital.
It is.
It's vital.
So obviously you have some, I was just looking at your, tell me about the 12 questions was my question. So you have this list on your website, and it's a questionnaire that you kind of pros to people, right? So
well, we have different locations, and so what I've done even over this last year, because sometimes money was very limited for anyone. Sometimes people had no income to come in. So I have priced things so you can get in with nothing at some locations. And of course, you know, you're either looking for work or you have a job, and then we wait for the payments to come in later. But I have made things so affordable at different locations. Now, it's all communal living. Unfortunately, it's not individual apartments, which, gosh, it would be great if I could provide something like that. But it's a roof over your head.
It's a roof over your head. It's a place to get settled in.
And a lot of times the communal living aspect of it really helps the mental health of the individuals. It's pet friendly, which is another thing that I pride myself in being, but to be able to have your pet there with other people who are going through the same thing you are, it's really helpful.
I mean, you were just telling me about a gentleman that moved in, wasn't sure if it was going to work out for him, but he ended up, you know.
And like I said, you know, come and try it. Just try it. I know that the individuals who are living there used to live in their own apartments. He was skeptical. I said, just give it a try, give it a week. And sure enough, they move in and said, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I tried. I would have been blowing through my savings.
When you realize that you're not facing this alone. And I think that's so important, that many of us just think that, okay, maybe it was something I did wrong, or maybe I didn't pay that bill, or what. You just never know what kind of curveball you're going to get thrown at you. It could be a pandemic or or a loss of a job or anything, but there's resources, and it's important for you to reach out
and just call. I can almost guarantee I will help you, but if I can't, I can always direct you to somebody who can.
You're connected to a lot of those other resources, which are
But the communal living aspect is great. I will have individuals who come in unemployed, people who are already living at the house are employed, and jobs are connected. Interviews are
yes, exactly.
created.
It's that networking and getting to know people and share your problems with, you know, that's not always easy for us to do.
One person has a car to that job. That person gets hired. Now they have, it's really neat. And humanity is still really good. We're really good to each other. I mean, and this has really shown the kindness and the care that people really have for each other. They really do. They're really good. They're really good to each other.
It's nice, and you know, you were kind of sharing with me too that because it is communal living, sometimes you have multiple generations within a house, or even one room in some cases, right? So we knock on wood that you were lucky you didn't have any
we were very lucky
cases
that everyone took precautions and did what they could to mitigate any type of illness. We were very lucky to have no one that was, you know, ill in our homes, and but it's kind of like a big family, which I used to kind of refer to it prior to the pandemic coming. It's, you know, you have people who could be your grandparents, and sometimes people who could be the grandchild, but it's neat how it works out. It's really neat how it works out and how they interact.
It's good to see that people are and caring about each other. So
they are, and that's the one thing I would say, that even though it was a struggle and a lot of things changed, that one part of the goodness in people really came out. I cannot tell you how different things happened in the different homes, and it just gave me a warm feeling all over, just to know how good they were to each other.
That's good, and thank goodness you're allowing them to bring their pets in there too, because I don't know what I would do without mine.
Me neither, because they have helped me tremendously.
You're right. They're very good listeners, and they hardly ever talk back.
Yes, they do. In fact, they never talk back, which is awesome.
Well, Angie, so let's tell people again one more time. So Angie's House, az.com, and 928-301-2169. Please help any way you can. Angie will gladly take donations of not just cash. You know, a lot of times it's beds, or it's couches, or it's bedding, or it's clothes, or just about anything that you can help or donate to the cause and help some of the people that in our community that really need it.
I'm proud to say that we are 100% volunteer run. There are no salaries paid, so all donations go 100% towards the housing and housing individuals. That need it.
Well, I'm getting the little buzz in my ear that we're just about time.
Gosh,
So
time flies.
I miss you. Let's not make it as long next time we get to talk. And another thing we were kind of talking about was having a mixer or something.
Oh
and
gosh,
we
I was
need
just
to
saying how much I
get
miss
everybody
the chamber
together,
mixer.
right?
Yes, yes.
Well, I'm hopeful we're going to start moving in that direction.
Great,
So
that'd be awesome.
Looking forward to seeing you again, and thank you so much for being here, Angie.
It's always a
Appreciate
pleasure.
you.
Thank you, Christian.
All right. Thank you, folks. We'll see you to the next one. Bye.